Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome of today, this afternoon, to our presentation of below market rate rentals in San Francisco. This is a collaboration of Homeownership San Francisco with other organizations that you will know. It's with the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development and MEDA. And it will be presented by Sonia Delgado from the MOHCD, and for Jacqueline Marcelos, myself, from Mission Economic Development Agency. We are going to do a slow presentation. I'm going to speak a little bit slow as we have some interpretations going on in other channels. So everybody is welcome to register or be part of those interpretations. And we're going to have Mark, who's going to be our interpreter for the Spanish language. And we are going to have a temporary Sodani from Homeownership SF doing the Chinese interpretation as well. Again, today our workshop, it will be about below market rate rentals in San Francisco. As we mentioned, how do you choose your interpretation? We have here some indications for that. We have the indications in Chinese as well in Spanish. Please, if you have any question regarding how to choose your interpretation, please put it in the chat and we'll have somebody to help you out with that. If you have any question regarding this, please put in the chat so we can help you out with that. Thank you so much. We're going to start. So the next slide is I'm going to have my colleague, Sonia Delgado. Sonia.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. Again, thank you, Jackie, for the introduction. Once again, my name is Sonia Delgado Schomburg. I do want to let everybody know, however, that this presentation is being recorded. Okay, and like Jackie said, we will be going slow so that our fellow co-hosts who are actually instantaneously interpreting in other languages have an opportunity to do so. We also ask that that you leave your questions towards the end, simply so that we can get through the slides and then have enough time for a Q&A session, okay? So as you can see here on this slide, it might be a little overwhelming, but I want to let you know that Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development, we also go by MOHCD, we have an active production pipeline of affordable housing. Our pipeline includes units from different sources, including our 100% affordable program and also our inclusionary program. Projects that are part of the inclusionary program are projects where only a small percentage of the units are affordable and the rest are market, hence the name inclusionary. By contrast, the 100% affordable projects, just like what it sounds, all of the units are affordable. And as you can see on this slide, there are approximately 450 units coming to market this year. We've got about 332 from our inclusionary program and an additional 121 from our 100% affordable program. Now, once the units are ready to be rented, they will be posted on our Dahlia website. The website will provide all of the project details and, of course, those very important deadlines associated with each project. Whether you are new to Dahlia or you are a veteran, I do invite you to check out the Dahlia videos on demand that are being offered as part of this Housing Expo. There's a series of videos that include tutorials on Dahlia, on how to set up a Dahlia account, lottery preferences, a video on how the lottery actually works, how to read those rental listings and read your results for each lottery, and how to complete a rental lottery application. Next slide, Jackie, please. When you visit the Dahlia website to check out housing opportunities, you will notice that there are different levels of affordability. There are units that target households who earn between 30 and 60% of the area median income, units that target households earning between 55 and 120% of the area median income, and units for higher income earners. So when you're looking at a housing opportunity on Dahlia, it's really important to see the income range to see if the project is right for you. And one other thing that I would mention is we have, while we do have a range of rental housing opportunities at different AMIs, it is around the 110, 120% AMI level that we actually have ownership opportunities being offered on Dahlia. So check those out as well. Next slide, please. So how will you know if the project is right for you? We can start first with reviewing the income requirements. If you are a Dahlia veteran, you probably already know that there is a minimum and a maximum income that you must meet. This means that you must make more than the minimum income, but less than the maximum income. The minimum income is usually 2 times the rent. For example, if the rent for a unit is $1,000 per month, then you will need to make at least $2,000 per month or $24,000 annually in order to be eligible. Please note that when we talk about income, we are always talking about gross income. This is the income that you earn before taxes or any other deductions that you may have. So one more time, minimum income is usually 2 times the rent. The maximum income is a little different. We're still talking about gross income, but the maximum income depends on your household size. Let's look at the chart on this slide. And let's say that you're interested in a housing opportunity on Dahlia. And on Dahlia, it says that there are studios and 1-bedroom units affordable at 55% of AMI or area median income. If I am a household of 1, the maximum income I can earn is $49,300. If I am a household of 3, then the maximum income is $63,400. And hopefully you can see those on the chart. These income limits are published annually by our office and are based on the HUD area incomes. And while the income limits change every year, you really don't need to keep track of the income limits because they are listed on Dahlia. And those are the income limits that apply to that specific housing opportunity. Next slide, please. Let's take a little closer look at the 100% affordable housing units. Units in this program are usually developed by nonprofit developers like Mercy, Bridge Housing, Chinatown Community Development Corporation, just to name a few. These projects will usually receive financing from our office or from OCII. And aside from lower rents, these projects may provide housing to a specific population, like seniors. They may offer on-site supportive services, and a certain percentage of the units must have hearing, visual, and mobility accessibility features. Next slide, please. By contrast, inclusionary BMR units do not usually target a specific population. They don't have on-site supportive services or have hearing, visual, and mobility accessible features. They do, however, offer units with lower rents. They offer housing opportunities to a range of income earners, and including those higher income earners. These units are typically found in high rises or even luxury towers. And if you see a residential construction site in your neighborhood that looks closer to being complete, look for our Dahlia signage to see if there will be any inclusionary BMR units offered on site. Next slide, please. Now, while there are core differences between the 100% affordable program and the inclusionary BMR program, the programs do share some commonalities, including the requirement to post on Dahlia, to have a lottery, and to adhere to the city's preferences, which are the Certificate of Preference program, the Displaced Tenant Housing program, the Neighborhood Resident Housing program, and of course, the very popular Live or Work in San Francisco preference. Don't worry, we'll cover the lottery preferences a little bit later. Additionally, both programs require that owners accept rental subsidies, and of course, there is no subletting or short-term rentals in any of these units. These units are meant to house people, not to provide investment income. Lastly, if you move into one of these units, you will be required to certify your income annually to ensure continued eligibility. Next. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the preferences. When you're ready to apply for these units, make sure to see what preferences you may qualify for. The lottery preferences will give you a better chance in the lottery. The city preferences here on this slide are listed in rank order, meaning that if you are a certificate of preference holder, then you will have an excellent chance at qualifying for a unit. By contrast, if you do not have a preference at all and find yourself in the general pool, your chances at qualifying for a unit are slim and sometimes none, most of the time none. So if we're going to take a closer look at these preferences, the Certificate of Preference program, most of the time, these certificate holders already have the preference. So when they apply, they just check the box, and we will, at MOHCD, internally verify and confirm their preference. The preference applies to both initial rentals and re-rentals. And if we have, 5 or 10 available lottery units, and we have 5 or 10 COP holders that qualify, they actually can take all of the units, okay? The DTHP housing or the Displaced Tenant Housing Preference Program is a little bit different. This one has a set aside, meaning that 20% of the units are reserved for DTHP preference holders. Just like COP, they just check the box, and we do all of that verifying on the back end. So MOHCD once again verifies. DTHP applies to both initial and re-rentals. And like I said, 20% set aside. So they can't take all of the units. Next, we have NRHP, the Neighborhood Resident Housing Preference Program. This one, again, is a preference that has a set aside, just like DTHP, but instead of 20%, the set aside is 40%. For this one, when you check off that you are a neighborhood resident housing preference holder, that verification happens when you enter your address. The system will actually automatically geocode to see if you fall within the parameters of the NRHP or the neighborhood, I should say. And the area for this preference depends on where the project is located. So the project, the area will include the Board of Supervisor district. So if they are in District 6, all of the district addresses within that district will be eligible. And a half-mile perimeter around the project. So that can actually extend beyond the supervisor district, okay? There is a document upload required to verify that you are a resident in the address that you actually entered. And like I said, there's the set aside. The documentation that you upload to the system must be within 45 days of when you are applying. So make sure that you provide valid preference proof. The last preference here is the live or work in San Francisco. And this one, there is no set aside. So if no COP, DTHP, or NRHP people actually apply, all of the units can go actually to the live work preference holders. And this preference applies to both initial rentals and re-rentals. And again, just like NRHP, you have to upload a document to show that you live or work in San Francisco. So I hope that that kind of provides a good overview of the city preferences. But remember that if you want something a little bit more in depth, that there is a Dahlia video on demand that covers the lottery preferences. It's called Dahlia Lottery Preferences. So I invite you to check that out as well. Thank you. And I'll hand it over to Jackie.
Thank you so much, Sonia. It was really, really valuable information for all our participants of this afternoon. We're gonna continue now with more information. Oops. So as we mentioned, all these applications or all this information, we have all these agencies that we are working under the umbrella of Homeownership San Francisco. All these organizations are able to help you with the navigation of the Dahlia website, as well to help you out to identify your AMI, identify if you qualify to apply for these beautiful units that are coming up or they are already on the system. We have Balance, we have Mission Economic Development Agency, San Francisco LGBT Center, we had the Bayview Senior Services, the Open House, Self-Help for the Elderly, Bill Soro Housing Program, San Francisco Development Corporation, is Southeast Asian Community Center, Homeless Prenatal Program. And for more information, you can also visit the website for homeownershipsf.org. As we mentioned, all these agencies, we are able to help you to submit the application through the Dahlia portal. It's very important. All these agencies have housing counselors who can help you to identify your AMI, verify your income, and give you a coaching session to confirm or work with you to be able to apply for these units. Please, Mark, and so Danny, let me know if I need to go a little bit slow so you guys are able to provide the interpretation. All right. So this is a question that so many clients there ask, what's happening after the post-lottery? So this is what we're going to talk about today. So after the lottery, property manager reach out in the lottery rank order for the application review. You will have 5 business days to gather and submit additional documents. Communicate with the property manager. Remember, the lottery means that you have to continue with additional documentation. All the agencies that we mentioned in the slide before, we are able to help you with that. It's very important that you might have an alternative contact that it could be your housing counselor that we can help you out with the translation and review documentation and submit additional documentations to the property manager. Also, why is important to have a contact with your housing counselor is because if you are denied and can provide documentation that the denial was in error, you must appeal the denial decision within 5 business days. A housing counselor can help you to determine whether or not you have grounds for appeal and assist with the appeal process. Also, remember that even though sometimes, we are able to speak English, sometimes financial terms we are not able to understand. And it's important for our participants to have a contact with your housing counselor. I know we have so many clients, they are able to submit their applications on their own, and thank you for that. But if you can, please contact a housing counselor from the agencies that we provide in the slides previous to these ones. Also, we have the rental assistance and subsidized programs. Financial assistance might be available to help you with your rental housing. Ask your housing counselor for more details. So we have the rental assistance. This is a one-time financial assistance for security deposit or moving cost. Also, the rental subsidy is an ongoing financial assistance to cover a portion of the rent payment for either a temporary or long-term period of time. That's why we continue with the very important that you must contact a housing counselor to help you with this information if you don't know, if you can apply for the rental assistance or the rental subsidy. We can help you with that. As Sonia mentioned earlier, this is the Dahlia portal, this Dahlia San Francisco housing portal. So this is the website where you are able to navigate the system and identify for affordable housing opportunities. As you see, you are able to view in English, Spanish, Chinese, Filipino. As also Sonia mentioned, we have opportunities for rent or to buy. It's very important that you sign up so you can be part of the emails. Whenever it's a housing opportunity, you will receive a notification and you can start the process and submit your application online for any housing opportunity. If you need also assistance with that, we can help you in any other housing agencies. As we mentioned, the Dahlia San Francisco Housing Portal is one-stop resource. As we mentioned, you need to sign up for email alerts. You need to create an account to track your applications. And I see that it is very important that you create an account, as we are able to review your application and determine if everybody is included in your package or in your household. Sometimes we have clients that they forgot they apply or how many people are applying, or they don't know the lottery number, and we are not able to locate if they are going to the second step for that. So as soon as you get the number, so you are able to get the lottery results instantly. Complete, current, and reliable information is very important. You can apply from your smartphone, and it's also multilingual functionality. We have other resources available. You can visit www.sf.gov for other assistance with your rental housing. For example, find help if you have received a threat of eviction or a notice from your landlord. You might have a right to stay in your home. Free legal aid and conflict resolution. And I believe that's all we have. And thank you so much for your participation. And I believe that if you need additional assistance, you can contact us at www.homeownershipsf.org for more information. We mentioned at the beginning, we're gonna leave this time for Q&A.
This is Kristen from Homeownership SF. I've been tracking questions in the chat. So if okay, maybe I could start with some of those. So one question that came up was, is unemployment considered part of gross income?
Yes, it is. For the inclusionary program, and I'm much more well-versed in the inclusionary program, so forgive me if I am unable to completely answer for the 100% affordable program. But for the inclusionary program, we do take into account unemployment benefits. We take the gross amount, but we also take a look at the award letter to determine how much you get per week and how many weeks you are going to get that benefit for. So if you look at your award letter, it might say you know, you're going to get it for a year, but it started, you know, 6 months ago. That means that for you're going to only be receiving those unemployment benefits for the next 6 months, right? So that's how we take unemployment benefits into account.
Thank you, Sonia.
No problem.
And there's a couple other questions here about how income is calculated, Sonia, and I don't know if you want to just kind of speak broadly. So a couple of questions are, how are savings calculated, especially when it comes to, you know, assets like brokerage accounts?
So we will take the value of the savings and we will take into account the current value, I should say. For the inclusionary program, we have what we call an asset test. The first 30,000 that you have in all of your asset accounts is kind of excused, if you will. And then we will take anything from beyond that 30,000, and we will take 10% and add it to your overall income. So for example, if you have $40,000 in savings between all of your savings, checkings and checking accounts and brokerage accounts or investments, we'll take 30,000 and not even look at it. And then we'll take 10% of 10,000, which is $1,000. And we'll add $1,000 to your annual income that we've already calculated. The 100% affordable program, their income calculation is a little bit more complicated. They take a look at the income that is generated from all of the accounts, and then they compare to see what is higher, whether it's the income or 2.5% of the value, and whichever is higher, they add that to the overall annual income.
Excellent. Thank you, Sonia.
No problem.
Another question here, and maybe this is something, Jackie, that you can recap, is how to get in touch with a housing counselor. One of the questions here has to do with how to connect to subsidized rental housing or even affordable home buying opportunities.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Christine. You are able to contact any housing agency over the phone. I can speak for MEDA. We have one day we offer in-person days is on Wednesdays. We have the opportunity to have a hub at 701 Alabama Street. And we help clients to sign up for the email alerts. We help clients in person to submit the applications, also to upload a proof of income as is part of the application. Because we know we have many clients, they are not technically savvy for that. At the moment that we provide that service, we identify if they don't have enough income to apply, and if they meet the guidelines for the rental subsidy, and if it's funds available, we are also able to help you out to apply for that. For moving cost, I believe that is when you finally did the entire process and you are ready to move in. We also help you through Catholic Charities to apply for DOS funds. And that's why I mentioned a lot that it's important that you get a housing counselor so we can help you to navigate all the opportunities. Yep.
Christy, do you mind if I just
please.
A small little shout out to Jason? Forgive me if I
go right ahead.
I mispronounce your last name, Dews, D-E-W-E-S. If you could send me can they actually send it just to me? If you send me your contact information, I'll be happy to get you in communication with the asset manager over the project that you are referring to in the chat. So, okay.
Yeah, so Jason, you should be able to send a private message to Sonia by clicking on the to button, or the names next to the to button, and sending her a message directly. Thank you, Sonia.
And also we have some videos as well in our website, and also as Christine mentioned, is some videos available on how to submit your application online, and also how to add an alternative contract. So in the case that the leaser officers are not able to reach out to you, so we are in contact with you and know what's going on. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. So I have a couple other questions here, and I mean, okay, there are a lot of questions, but one that I see that is coming up a lot pertains to people whose income might be changing. So for example, one person mentioned being on unemployment currently, but knowing that that's coming to an end. Another person mentioned that due to health-related issues, income might be lower. And so how, if you are in this circumstance where either you know your income might decrease or you know your income might increase, what does that mean for how you should apply?
So I would say that always, when you're applying, always put the income that you are currently receiving. And if you expect that income, or if that income happens to be higher or lower from what you were earning, just a couple of months ago, I would say that the best thing that you can do for us is write a note, with your application and explain the situation, because I will tell you, this happens a lot, that what you see on paper and what your situation might be, it doesn't necessarily come across on paper. So if you can provide us, an explanation. For example, I was just reviewing a file today where an individual was getting hazard pay. They're an essential worker and they're getting hazard pay, and that was actually putting them over. But that hazard pay is temporary, and it's probably going to expire in the next couple of months because, things are hopefully getting a little bit better and we're getting back to normal. So, but had they not actually put that on the application, I would not have known, and we would have disqualified them simply because that additional little extra hazard pay was putting them over. And I think this is kind of related. I saw a question in here about if you're living in an inclusionary unit and your income increases over the maximum, can you continue to live there at a higher rent? No, you cannot. But while most of the inclusionary units that you probably have seen posted on the Dahlia website are at 55% of the area median income, in the inclusionary program, we allow and we bet that your income will increase, because that's kind of that's the thinking behind affordable housing, is that your housing situation becomes stabilized and you're able to grow your income and hopefully flourish in many other ways. So while you come in at a maximum 55% area median income, we allow you to actually go up to 175% of the area median income. So you can almost triple your income and still, or triple the AMI, I should say, and still be eligible. So hopefully that addresses that question from Rebecca. Thank you for that question.
You, Sonia. And I see that there are a number of other questions, and we'll continue to get to more questions, but I want to encourage those who have very specific questions about their household situation. I think it would really be to your advantage to speak with a housing counselor or to connect with the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development in their exhibitor booth this weekend. Sonia and Jackie, before we maybe go and answer a couple more questions, can either of you share when your exhibit booth is happening tomorrow? And I just shared the links in the chat to your organization's pages. So for attendees, you should be able to click on those links in the chat to find more information.
Yeah, we'll be available actually from 11 to 3 tomorrow. That's March 6th. It's a Saturday. And my rental team will be on hand to answer your questions. We'll have someone who will be able to take one-on-one questions, or I shouldn't say one-on-one, but we'll be able to take questions in Spanish. We'll have somebody else in I believe it's Cantonese, and then and of course in English. So I encourage you to come visit us tomorrow.
Okay, should we, Jackie and Sonia, do you feel, oh yeah, Jackie, can you share about your booth?
I think for Meta is going to be the first-time home buyer team that is going to be from 11 to 1. We also be able to answer any question in Spanish and English, and any question also about the Dahlia, how to submit your applications, and so more.
Thank you, guys. I'm trying to text this into the chat.
Go ahead and answer some more questions.
Yeah, do you see any, Sonia, that you want to?
I do. I would love to. I see one from Adrian Cruz. If you work and rent in San Francisco, but you own a house outside of San Francisco, can you still apply for a unit? Well, that's going to actually depend on the program. If it's for an inclusionary housing opportunity, you cannot actually be the owner of a residential unit and apply. However, there are a couple of clauses to that, and that is, let's say that you are only part owner, meaning that your parents left the family home to you and your 10 siblings, right? And the other siblings are actually occupying the unit. So there's some flexibility there, but if it's just, you happen to live in San Francisco, but you own a house in Oakland, you would be ineligible for an inclusionary unit. If I believe that particular clause, however, does not exist for the 100% affordable program. So I believe that you can actually apply, apply for 100% affordable units and still own a property. So.
Okay, I'm seeing, let's see, a couple more questions here that I thought were maybe helpful questions. How often are listings posted to Dahlia? And for those who maybe are having a hard time finding stuff that they're eligible for, are there any other recommendations for what they might do?
So we have listings going up all the time. And 2021 was a record year. I think we had something like 800 or 900 units posted to Dahlia. This year, it'll probably slow down just because we just didn't have as much this year. And I imagine that actually that slowing will continue probably into the next couple of years when we start really seeing the impact of the pandemic. Financing's gonna also, slow, and that's we're talking about financing that funds construction of affordable housing. So, but the best thing that you can do is to not only sign up for a Dahlia account, but then also sign up for the email alert system, because the email alert system will send you basically an email for every new opportunity that comes onto Dahlia. And you will actually see more inclusionary units posted to Dahlia than you will 100% affordable, because the 100% affordable program allows for a wait list. The inclusionary program does not allow for a wait list. So, and just because people usually think that the inclusionary program is so big, it actually is dwarfed by the size of the 100% affordable. The only reason you just don't see them as often is because they have wait lists.
And then there's one other question that I've seen come up in a couple of different ways, Sonia, and I apologize, I think you might have explained some of this, but a couple of people have asked what happens if they have a big reduction in their income after they're in a unit. For example, would the rent amount decrease, or in the opposite? So if someone's income increases, do they pay more to stay in that unit? Can you explain a little bit about that?
No. So the unit, the rent does not fluctuate with your income if you're already in a affordable housing unit. If I'm understanding the question correctly, yeah, that would be no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Let's see. Are there any other questions? I am seeing some really specific questions here that people entered in, but I think those are going to be ones that, again, are best addressed by contacting or visiting the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development booth tomorrow, or the booth with Mission Economic Development Agency, where you can meet with a housing counselor. Sonia or Jackie, were there any other questions that you saw that you would like to address? There's some very specific ones here.
I think my only recommendation is keep applying. Don't discourage yourself if you don't get it at the first round or the first time. We also encourage so many families to keep applying until they are able to get a unit. It's very important. Keep applying, please. We have families that have been applying, for 12 different applications, 14, and they don't get anything. But we have families that apply at the first time and they get it. So it's just keep applying.
Yeah, I will concur with Jackie here. A tidbit that you will, that I think might be helpful is that, for those brand new, beautiful buildings that you see on Dahlia and there's 50 units available, those lotteries will garner about 8,000 to 9,000 applicants, right? So your chances are going to be obviously lowered because of the number of people who are entering. A little secret here that I'll share with you all is that re-rentals, even in buildings that just came online like last year or 2 years ago or even 3 years ago, are just as beautiful. But re-rentals usually only have maybe about 2,000 to 3,000 applicants. So your chances are higher when you go for a re-rental. So there's my little inside tip. I did see that somebody sent me a direct message asking to please post the slide with the housing counseling, housing counselors, the housing counselor information. So if you could put that up, can you please put the slide up again on housing counselors, please?
I can also share the link to application assistance through the Homeownership SF website.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Okay, and then there's one other question that I think is a good question, Sonia, too. And this is for those who have public benefits or are living on Social Security or disability benefits, which are untaxed. How would they calculate their gross income?
Usually what we do is we look at those award letters. So for example, if you've got if you're receiving Social Security, your award letter will show both the gross and the net that you get on a monthly basis. And usually the difference is that they might subtract for like health benefits, Medicaid, or yeah, Medicaid. So we will take a look at gross. But there is still a minimum income to meet, which is 2 times the rent. Right now, our office does fund agencies to provide rental subsidies. Unfortunately, those subsidies at this point in time they're on hold because we have ran out of money, but we suspect that there will be a new influx of money, hopefully in the next couple of months. So keep an eye out for that. Check out our Facebook page or our Instagram page, or even our website for that information. So.
Thank you, Sonia.
No problem.
And I'm not seeing any new questions come through. There was a question about re-rentals. Sonia, can you address how re-rentals work?
Sure. So I think the question here is, how do you apply to the re-rental units? So they are, first of all, sign up for your Dahlia account and sign up for the Dahlia email alert systems, because you will get an email for any new re-rental that comes through our office and onto Dahlia. And you would apply in the same way that you would for a new building. So go on to Dahlia, if you've got your account, log into your account and apply for that. And it's in the same way. We take a look at income, assets. When you take a look at Dahlia, you'll see that credit standards and rental history requirements are also listed. So just make sure that you check it out on Dahlia. The other thing that I want to emphasize is that if you're new to Dahlia or if you're a veteran, it is always a really good idea and very important to check out the whole listing. And there is usually a PDF that's attached to the listing that lists the building selection criteria. And in addition to like the income standards and if the excuse me, if the building will accept guarantors or gift income, they also list other things like do they accept pets? What kind of pets do they accept? There's even usually like a list of dog breeds that they'll accept. These are really, it might be minutia, but it's really important to check that out, because it might be that it's a 100% non-smoking or smoking building, and you apply without looking at that, and you've kind of wasted the effort if that's not the housing opportunity for you. So check that out, please. Excuse me.
Oh, and this is actually one more question I think might be worth reviewing once more, if you guys are up for it. Thank you so much, Sonia and Jackie. Oh. The last question, again, this is one I've seen come up a bit, is a brief review of occupancy limits for BMR units when you're applying, and then if your family size changes once you've moved in.
So when you're applying, the general rule for inclusionary units is that it's 1 person per bedroom plus 1, right? We do not count children under the age of 6 into that calculation. So for example, a couple with a baby can actually go into a into a studio, or they can go into a 2-bedroom or even a 3-bedroom unit, right? As far as if you've got a growing family, and how does occupancy at that point, are there any occupancy requirements? Our office is silent on maximum occupancy standards once you're in the unit. because we leave that to the Department of Building Inspection, that they have overcrowding standards, but those are quite generous. If I remember correctly, you can almost have like 7 people in a 1-bedroom. So, but there might be, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. The inclusionary program doesn't have a maximum. There are maximums in the 100% affordable, and those will be listed on Dahlia. So check that out.
Great. Thank you so much, Sonia and Jackie. Any other last words? I realize we're coming up on 6:30.
Check out Dahlia, set up your account, get those email alerts, and come visit us tomorrow at our rental table from 11 to 3, where we can hopefully answer more of your questions, especially if we were unable to get to them today. And other than that, thank you so much for listening to us.
And one last time, I'm just going to throw the workshop link in here for all of our participants. You can learn more again about our presenters today, find their links, handouts, and all of this information through this workshop page. Sorry, Jackie, if you want to close us out, I think we're good to go.
All right, thank you so much for all your participation, and I hope you learned a lot today in this beautiful workshop.